Hey there, it's your host, Rick Koleta, and thanks for tuning in to the GTM Vault podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. Mike Soylu, who will be talking about Adaptive Computer, his new company. So if you're interested in learning how AI is transforming the way we build digital products and the profound implications for product development and marketing, this podcast is for you. Mike shares his perspectives on the past decade's changes, the current AI landscape, and what the future holds as AI becomes mainstream. Mike, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Rick. Thank you for having me on the pod. I'm super excited to talk to you about both AI and also GTM strategy and marketing, all things growth. We go way back, and I just love talking about these things, and hopefully we can create some interesting content for people to inspire people. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, of course. Mike, how have you seen the landscape change over the past decade? Remember, you were running Pisano, the marketing for Pisano. Maybe if you can talk to us a little bit about the changes from that you're observing.
Yeah. I started Pisano back in 2013 with three other co-founders. And Pisano is a customer experience management platform. We provide cloud software for primarily enterprise customers like banks and insurance companies, large chains of supermarkets and things like that. And it's a very traditional kind of cloud software. Back then, that was 10 years ago. Back then, cloud was super new. Not having to own servers was like super new and super exciting, and also just the web being more and more, accessible through mobile and just networking. So we were kind of riding that wave, and it was really an exciting time to make digital products. And now we have a similar kind of wave, similar to the cloud revolution, let's call it, with AI, which is just amazing, and it just unlocks a bunch of different kinds of opportunities and possibilities to do with digital stuff. So it is very similar in very different ways. I can say
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Every decade or so, these major leaps in technology come about that totally change the way we operate, right? And it seems like AI is one of those.
Yeah.
Uh, and specifically, your new company, Adaptive Computer, I believe, is working on creating a new interface and a new operational way of going about building apps, right? Can you talk to us a little bit about Adaptive Computer and what you guys are building?
Yeah. So I guess the idea behind adaptive computer is the idea that basically today everything is software, everything runs on software. So you have a factory somewhere, it runs on software. You have a car that runs on software. So software is just this thing that is basically at the base layer of our daily lives everywhere. So we think AI can do a lot here to make software both more accessible, cheaper, better, and just kind of we can open up the world of software to more and more people using AI. So I would say the main main belief behind the company is the importance of software, and that's I would say that's the base layer. On top of that, we're imagining a world where computers, the main thing when we think software is computers and phones, right? Um, for at least these products, what would a world where these products adapt to you look like? So imagine a fitness tracking app you love to use, but there's this one little thing about the app that you wish was slightly different, or you wish there was some sort of different feature, or it had some sharing features or things like that. Currently, because software is monolithic and it's just kind of set in stone, when you're using it, you don't really have that opportunity that much. So we're kind of thinking, how can we make that a reality using AI? Because otherwise, you would have to, traditionally, you would have to have a team, you would have to have a bunch of money, you would have to know a bunch of people, and then you'd have to get them to do those changes for you. But today, with AI, we can it seems like we can actually change that. So that's I would say the higher up level of the idea behind adaptive computer. Yeah, so like that's basically it. And we just want to create a full stack platform where people can build apps and share apps, remix apps, and just like really democratize and open up that world, just like everyday people. And yeah, we're pretty early on in the journey. We started the company earlier this year, still in 2024. So we're making good progress.
I've had a chance to play around with your MVP, and it totally blew me away. It's just a new way of doing things. I mean, prompt engineering is becoming the way to build the app. What are your thoughts on this shift in building apps, and at what rate do you think it will gain mainstream adoption?
Yeah, I think it's one of the most interesting things about, I would say, the AI, let's call it movement or trend. It's been really fast. I feel like, I didn't know a single thing about LLMs 2 or 3 years ago. And now, everybody's, working on these, so I think it's been crazy adoption. You can just look at, some of the numbers from, companies like OpenAI. I think currently the last number I saw was like upwards of 90% of Fortune 500 is on OpenAI's ChatGPT or their APIs. So I think it's been wild. The adoption has been wild. It doesn't seem like it's going to slow down. And when this adoption starts to happen like this, of course, for products, for product development, for marketing, you're just going to see it really, really being incorporated in all of those parts. It's pretty exciting.
You lived in Singapore, you lived in Turkey. Can you talk to us about the the global adoption compared to, say, like, US adoption? Do you think it takes longer for certain technologies to gain adoption in some countries, and what factors do you see influencing this rate of adoption?
Yeah, certainly. Usually, Silicon Valley is the where it starts, and everybody kind of follows suit. But I think the cool thing about AI is, of course, currently we're still early on, so you don't see massive adoption in countries that are not so developed. But I think that's going to change pretty quickly because the fundamental model works pretty well because it's basically energy based. AI, as everybody knows, uses a lot of energy, electricity to run, and usually what we see in like developing countries, energy prices are very kind of paired with people's incomes and GDP. So I think it's not going to be as difficult as it used to be for other technologies like mobile phones to like make this a worldwide adopted thing. So I think it's going to get pretty popular everywhere, and I think it's going to be really important that it spreads through developing countries because these countries are the ones that will gain the most benefit from this because language barriers get removed, skill gaps get closed. It's a really transformational piece of technology for people that actually really need it. So I think it's good.
Some people are afraid that AI will take their jobs, and then another perspective is it'll enable people to upskill. What's your perspective on that?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a bit of both. You will have certain types of jobs being less and less sought after. I would say just because it's similar to like every piece of technology that places some jobs, but it creates more. I think it'll be similar to that. I don't. It's hard to tell like which exact jobs those will be and like what they will look like. I think there's definitely going to be a number of skills that will be replaced by artificial intelligence. But I think that's going to be tiny in comparison to the expansion of the pie. So, similar with like, the classic example is YouTube, right? No one thought that there would be YouTubers, 10 years ago or like 20 years ago. But, now, Mr. Beast is like $1 billion company. So there's a lot of, there's going to be a lot of the expansion of the pie there. Um, and just even like if you circle back to software development, just the amount of new software being uh, created is going to be such a valuable like a huge productivity driver that I think it's going to be like a hockey stick growth. I mean, it is already a hockey stick growth when you compare it to like the early 1900s, but I think we're just going up on that trajectory. I tend to look into history and see what happened and before when cars were invented, when refrigerators were invented. All those examples are very similar in my opinion.
In Silicon Valley, we talk about 10x engineers. Lately, I've been hearing that AI will create a new wave of 100x engineers. What is your perspective on that?
I agree. I think it's not only 100x engineers, but I think it will make 10x or 100x engineers from non-technical people, which is I think the big unlock there. Um, I think it really makes it easier because I would say one big issue with software and engineering. I mean, there's a bunch of different kinds of engineering, so I won't comment on those. But for software specifically, it is surprising how actually programming is simple, but the entry barrier and like reasoning about pieces of text on a black screen is the hard part, right? It's like trying to figure out why am I doing this? What does it mean? What is a register? What is a memory? What's the CPU? All those concepts around software is, I feel that makes a lot of people not want to deal with it. But I think with AI, you get to abstract away all those complexities and you can just have a normal conversation and be an engineer, as long as you have the ideas, you have some sort of thing that you want to solve. That's basically engineering. So I think that's going to be we're going to have the already great engineers be even greater engineers. People that are just like never even thought of it being great engineers. So
And your current company, Adaptive Computer, is paving the way for this, right? In regards to building apps. Can you
yes,
talk to us a little bit about some of the early use cases on the platform?
yeah, we're still pretty early, but we have a small group of users, friends and family and whatnot that are kind of playing around with the software. And they they've had some it's been a wide range of things people imagine they can do with when we say, hey, this is a bot that writes software for you and deploys it and like takes care of all the infrastructure. And people are like, interesting, can it do my spreadsheets for me in like this way, or can it do a polling app for my poker nights or whatever. There's like a whole wide range of things people kind of feel like they should be able to do with this sort of software. So for us, it's really cool to see like that being so varied. It would be okay, but we would, I guess, be a little bit bummed if it was like everybody wanted to build like a CRM or something.
Mhm. Right.
So, which I
Right.
mean, I'm sure people will build CRMs on our platform, but it's nice that it's such a very kind of it inspires people to do like wild things. So, like another like funny example is my co-founder Dennis is working on his personal website on the platform. So he's building a personal website for himself. And he had this crazy idea about making it as like a command line terminal. So you land on the web page, and then you have like a command line, like a computer command line, and then you can browse through the pages through the command. I mean, it's super nerdy, but it's just like very creative. Seeing people do these sorts of things on the platform is really exciting for us.
That's great. That's great. I had a chance to build two apps on your platform, and it's really exciting to see how you can literally automate so many tasks through those apps, and yeah, it saves you a lot of time. So, is there any other? Is there any specific vertical you guys are focusing on with your go to market?
Yeah. For in terms of go to market, we have, I would say, two main categories that we think will benefit a lot from this sort of software. One is what we call kind of like the retool use case, where you have companies that have internal processes around data cleanup or pulling stuff from DBs and presenting them in like dashboards, or running certain internal processes for HR or any operational thing. People will tend to use like flexible app building tools for this sort of thing. No code tools they're called. I think that category as a go to market is a great one for us, because it just we believe we can really 10x that experience for people and really make a difference. So that's, I would say, one of the big ones. And another one is kind of the Shopify use case, where you're personal, you're an entrepreneur, you have some stuff that you want to sell online. You don't want to deal with building a website and like dragging and dropping stuff around and all that stuff. You just want to be like, hey, I just want a store, these are my products, go figure out how I set up monetization, how I set up everything else. So I think those two are areas where we can kind of go after and really, really, delight people, and just making it super easy, and just like removing, complexity, because, people don't want to deal with, the platforms and all the, technical aspects of things. People just want to get their, they want to, work on their pottery. They don't want to deal with like websites and stuff. So,
Right.
so I think, there it can be really good for those people.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You guys raised a sizable pre-seed investment. Can you talk to us a little bit about the expenses involved in building this space, in this space?
Yeah, I would say the main expense is currently, it's actually getting really, really much better. But running these AI models are fairly expensive compared to any other kind of cloud service that you would pay for. Say, like a database is maybe 1,000 times more cheaper to run than running an LLM on the cloud. So that is one of the big things to kind of think about, especially in our case. We don't do a lot of model training, but if you're doing model training, you need a really, really sizable amount of capital to get started. So it's kind of different than, traditionally it would be, the headcount would be the main driver of cost, especially with like experienced people, which usually it's a good idea to get experienced people when you're early on, like a seed stage. But yeah, now it's a little bit different in terms of, it's almost like hiring, artificial intelligence to do these things. So, it's still cheaper, but it's still quite a good amount away.
When can we expect to join for you guys to launch? When can we access your website, or is it open to the public currently?
Yeah, currently it's closed. We are planning on doing a like the initial kind of waitlisted launch around later this summer. That's our goal, and try to figure out what the usage patterns are like, and then if parts are make sure everything is robust and everything works, and then slowly open it up to more people, probably towards the end of this year. So yeah, that's the plan. It seems like I'm usually pretty optimistic with my planning, but but it seems like that one we're going to be able to do. It's going to be very exciting to get this in the hands of more people. So we're very hyped about that.
You have a unique URL. Will that stay the same, or are you planning to change it?
URL will be the same. We have another domain, so we might swap it out with another domain, but we'll see. That decision hasn't been made yet.
Gotcha. Cool. Mike, you lived in different countries. You built tech companies in different countries. You moved to Silicon Valley 2 years ago, I believe, right? Or can you talk to us a little bit about some of the differences you saw living here and the benefits? Is it really worth it?
Yeah. I mean, I think San Francisco, Silicon Valley is a truly different kind of place if you're into technology. I would say if you're not into technology, there are better places probably. But if you're into technology, the amount of talent here, the amount of excitement here is just amazing. You go to a bar and you see have a conversation with someone. They're either in AI, they're
Right.
like some crypto or all the buzzwords, but it's really exciting to like be around people like that, and it really helps you kind of think bigger. I think here in San Francisco, like we tend to think about like the wild ideas, and in other parts of the world, I would say people are more are not willing to take those risks, and probably they're not allowed to take those risks. So, that's also one of the nice things about living here is like the culture just accepts that when you're shooting for the fences, then you kind of will fail. So that's a part of the process. So that's really nice. And also just like just having people around you and companies that it's always nicer to have in-person meetings in my opinion. So for us, these model providers are we use their APIs like OpenAI and Anthropic, and it's really nice to be able to go get coffee with our person there and talk about what we need from them and things like that. Like having that proximity is also really good for business in my opinion. So it is the place to be. I would say if you're in tech and if you can, like definitely be here. Yeah.
Any advice for first-time founders? As a serial entrepreneur, you've raised capital from investors over the years. You've grown your company. I think Pisano was maybe 70-person headcount at the point you left, and now with the new AI wave, I see more and more companies emerging, especially in the Bay Area. What would be your words of advice to a first-time startup founder?
Yeah, I would say, the best advice I can think of is just like try not to hesitate and kind of just do it. It's a very cliche thing to say, but I think nobody really knows how to build companies when it's their first time. So I think trying to gain some experience and like kind of waiting to take that step. I think if you truly want to become an entrepreneur, I think there's no point in doing that. You just go for it, and then especially in places where there's an entrepreneurship culture, you somehow find a way, and it works out in the end. So I think I would just say that if you feel like you're waiting for something, just go for it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Mike. Really appreciate you being on the pod. And then that sums it up for another episode of the GTM Vault podcast.
This is fun.
Nice.